Question 1. Now we're working on question 2. Identify vertex axis of symmetry. Quite honestly, I think this is the first thing you should figure out. Oops, probably better unfreeze it. Otherwise, let's do it. The first thing I would do in this whole process is find the axis of symmetry. I wrote it on the chalkboard as a reminder. What are you going to be doing? X equals what? Opposite of B over what? 2 times A. Can anybody tell me what A is in this particular equation? Huh? It's right there. 1. How about the B value? It's not a -6, it's a 6. Now, I know what you're getting at when you say -6. You're confusing that with the vertex form. Okay, this is not in vertex form, this is in standard form. So, it is, literally y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. This is the version of the equation that they gave me. So, you can't just tell, and I know that some of you are kind of ignoring me right now because this question will come up and then I'll get kids that write down, oh, the vertex is -611. That happens all the time, and that is not true at all. Okay? Yes? That is your axis of symmetry, and it gives you the x part of the vertex. So, this one thing will answer question 1 and half of question 2. Okay, so let's see here. We've got opposite of 6 over 2 times 1. Anybody know what that is? That is -3. Thank you very much. So, not only does that answer this question, but it answers half of that question. How in the world do we now find the rest of this vertex? Plug it in. Thank you very much. This is where you're going to need your machine, unless you just can do some of this in your head, but please write down what we're doing, even if you are letting the calculator do the work. Okay, so we're plugging in our -3. Go find me the rest of that vertex. Just make sure you don't forget those, okay? Because I want you to be able to go home. Yeah. All right, so when you plug that in, what'd you get? 2. That is correct. The y value is 2, right? Okay. Now, what I have noticed in the 2 periods that I've taught this prior to now is that most of you, I shouldn't say all of you, but most of you need a picture. It doesn't need to be an exact picture, but it needs to be something that you can look at, find your vertex, -3, 2, and then I need to know whether this thing opens up or opens down. Look at your A value, tell me whether it opens up or opens down. It does open up because it's positive, okay? So draw yourself a little picture. This line is either max or min, so I'll start out with a capital M, because I can't go wrong that way. So it's either max or min. Figure out what that is, and then based on your picture, you're going to have a range. You're either going to choose y is greater than or equal to, or y is less than or equal to, and then fill in that number for the range. Okay? So go ahead. Decide whether it's a min or max. Talk to people around you. Figure out what that value is, and then choose the range that you think it should be. Something about the vertex to why not? All right. We'll say this. We'll say to how many little at signs at x. But so now the range issue. I'll write that down. The range issue. Do you think it's greater than or equal to 2 or less than? Greater than or equal to 2?
No, you suck.
I like the colors of your notes too. That'd be. I would do that first, then second, then I would do this third, then I would do this fourth. Okay. Okay, I saw a lot of you saying that this was a minimum value. You are correct. What is that minimum y value? What is that minimum y value on the graph? 2. Where is it occurring at? At x equals -3. The minimum is 2. It's occurring at the x value -3. Now, is this going to be a greater than or equal to or a less than or equal to range? It's going to be a greater than or equal to. What is it greater than or equal to? Yeah, good job. Sorry, I gave it away there with my clue, which wasn't supposed to be a clue at all. I don't think I'll require that. It's now. Would I pay more money if somebody did that correctly? Probably. See, there's always, when you do a better job, the boss should reward it. Should. Doesn't always, but should. Because you go above and beyond at different times, and then you hate your manager or boss because they're not giving you the raise you deserve, or good. Yeah. Well, I don't know how they get away without paying you overtime. That should be time and a half. You know what, kid? Okay. What's the A value when you look up here? Tell me on question 3 what the A value is. Am I right if saying positive 1? Ah, it's negative 1. What about the B value? Negative 2. Okay. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I am. Yes, you will forever be in our memories.
They can hear me right now.
Probably, because you're pretty close to my microphone. Okay. Okay, so no swearing. Seriously, I'm coming after you. Okay, question. So do axis of symmetry first, then second vertex, then third min or max, and then fourth find the range. Yeah, go. First, find the axis of symmetry. Use your opposite of B over 2A. Find your axis of symmetry first. Yes. Let me write this out for you. Okay, keep going on this. There's a lot of work here. Some of you are doing it, and some of you are not. Come on. Well, I know, but it still should take a little bit longer. The opposite of B over 2 times A. So if you can figure out what that is right there, that'll be your axis of symmetry, which then you can use that, because that'll give you the first part of the vertex. So that's 2 over negative 2, which is what? Negative 1, exactly. So now I know that, and I know this. And now I have more information. Now I can go and find the rest of my vertex. It's inside of MaxMin. You don't have to worry about it. Opposite of B. If B is a negative number, it is. Then I'm taking the opposite of that. That's why I keep saying the opposite of. Because in our minds, when we hear opposite of a negative, we know it's positive. You actually look at it. They that's the big you got that. I see a lot of students when they're plugging this in a calculator. Now, remember, your calculator is scientific or graphing. It can handle the order of operations. The only kind of calculators that don't are those little dinky I-step calculators. Those four and five function calculators, those are the ones that don't know the order of operations. All of these that say scientific or above, if you type this with parentheses, by the way, I do recommend you use parentheses. If you don't, you're going to get the wrong number. So, for instance, a lot of kids get the wrong number here. What is this thing? Do you do multiplication? Do you cancel out those negatives first, or do you do exponents first? You do exponents first, and that gives you a positive 1. Well, the negative sitting out in front stays there, so it's negative 1. These two cancel each other out, giving me positive 2 and a minus 3. So we end up with a negative 2. We end up with a negative 2 for that second part of the vertex. And if you don't put parentheses in the right spots, you end up getting the wrong value. Okay? Now, if I look at a picture of this, and I find negative 1, negative 2, does this thing open up or open down? It opens down, doesn't it? That's a max. And what is that maximum value? Negative 2. So that means y is it less than or equal to or greater than or equal to? Less than or equal to negative 2. The picture helps me identify that information. Okay. Now, in a question like number 4, when you do not, please, I'm going to cross this off in a second because it's wrong. But do not do what I see a lot of kids do. They think the vertex is this. They look at this and they're like, oh, vertex. Don't write this down, folks. Understand why it's wrong. I get kids that write this down all the time. Well, I know what they're doing. They think that the original equation is in vertex form. Folks, it's not. That's not the vertex. How do we find the vertex? First, I would find the axis of symmetry. Next, I would find the vertex. Next, I would graph it. Do it in that order, you'll have it. Find the axis of symmetry, find the vertex, then graph it. Go. You got A, you got B, you got C. 1, 4, 3. I really only need the 1 and 4. At least for now. For the first part anyway. Find the axis of symmetry. It's important that you do it. Down up there. Some kids think that when they look at this, they find vertex. They can't figure out what the vertex is. Yes. X equals -2, that's your first part. Symmetry is X equals -2. What do you do? That's the first part of the vertex. Yeah, I'm going to help everybody here in a second. Okay, so hopefully you went through the process. X equals the opposite of B over 2 times A, giving me X equals -2, which gives me the first part of the vertex. How do I use that to find the second part? Plug in -2 for X. I like that strategy. -2 quantity squared plus 4 times -2 plus 3. So what did we get? -1? Okay. Now ask your question. A is +1, so yes. If we're going to now use the whole 1A, 3A, 5A method of graphing, if A is equal to 1, what does that make 3A? 3 and 5A? Nice. Okay. So, finding my -2, somebody gave me a good idea first period today. What was it? -2, -1? Oh, I didn't. I gotta have that. So, basically what I did was I made my pen thick with 3 C's.
Oh my gosh! You know what? Kate invited Joy for that second.
Oh my goodness. Yes. Okay. All right. So now I've got my vertex. So when I saw her do this, by making it thicker, I was like, how did she get a perfect circle? I'm asking this question, and she's like, I just put a dot on the screen. I just touched it, and I was like, I do that, and mine look nasty looking. I was like, and so then I was like, oh, she just made the pen thicker. I was like, oh, great. So I learned something. So if I go 1 unit to the right, how far up do I go? If I go 1 more unit to the right, how far up do I go? If If I go one more unit to the right, how far up? That's right. Okay? Now, it would have been nice if I would have plotted my axis of symmetry. Okay? So that when I do my monster blue dots, and I match them on the other side, oh, those are bigger than the first ones. Gee whiz, man. Okay. Okay, so this question asked me to graph it. I did have to find the axis of symmetry, the vertex, and then I could go use my 1A, 3A, 5A method. Now, the next question, when we try to graph it and we do the 1A, 3A, we won't even... 3A goes off the graph. Okay? So, yeah. Okay. So A is equal to what? 6. B is equal to 12. So first, find my axis of symmetry, and then my vertex, and then graph it. Get this done, folks. Okay. Tell me what we got for the axis of symmetry. X equals -1 is correct. We plugged in the opposite of B over 2 times A, and we got -12 over 12, which was -1. Okay? Now we know the first part of the vertex. Go find the second part of the vertex. Bigger number? Not the vertex won't be a bigger number. But it does grow very fast, this particular parabola does. I'm getting -2. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm typing in the red at the top. Parentheses are important here, folks. You should end up with a -2, I believe. 6 minus 12 plus 4 is -2. Okay? Now, if A is 6, what is 3A? Higher than 12. 18. Okay, we're going to stop there. 5A would be impossible for this particular graph. So, let's find -1, -2. -1, -2. Oh, that's not 1, -2. If I go 1 to the right, 1 to the right, a little too big though. Okay. Yeah, thick with 5 C's, it's not good. Alright, now, if I go 1 to the right, how far up do I go? 6. If I go 1 more to the right, how far up do I go? 18. What's 4 plus 18? 22. Off my graph. Okay? Now, do our little tiny axis of symmetry here. Well, it's not really that tiny, but okay. Yeah, this is a not so fun graph. Okay. Sorry. So this is going to be a challenge to graph. MaxMin already has one, if that's what you're getting at. Okay, for users. Yeah, it's pretty squished, isn't it? Yep. Very squished. Okay, I want to look at 6 and I want to mention something about 7. Okay, we will not get through question 7. Okay, but I do want to mention something about it. So when it says write it in vertex form, we know it's something times something squared plus something, alright? We'll get to 7 in a minute, but we're not going to get all the way through question 7. Does anybody know what the A value is on question 6 that we should put in front of the parentheses? It is a -1, so we should put that in there. Or, some of you already know you could just put a negative sign and that's the same thing. Okay? But, how do I find the vertex? Don't tell me I put in 7 and 8, because that's not it. We got to do the whole -b over 2a, right? The opposite of b over 2 times a. How much is that? 7 over -2. -3.5, isn't it? So I'm trying to speed this up a little bit. B is -7 in this case. Okay? Okay? Confusing? Okay, now, we've got -3.5. If you move something -3.5 in the x direction, is that left or right? That's left. Now, I understand that a lot of people get confused, but if you know the graph's moving to the left, what are you going to put inside here? Plus 3.5. Remember how we talked about it being backwards of our common sense when we know it's moving left? All right, now how do I find this value on the outside? It is not 8. It is not -8. You plug it back in. That's right. The opposite of -3.5. Quantity squared minus 7 times -3.5 minus 8. Yes, you'll need a calculator. What'd you get? 4 1/4. That's true. This is parentheses. I would definitely check my parentheses. This is 4 1/4. Okay. Definitely check parentheses. When you're typing this stuff in, you get 4 1/4. Okay, now, answer me this question about number 7. Okay, do you think that this parabola on number 7 opens up or opens down? It opens down, okay? Now, I want you to listen to me and pay attention to the screen. We will finish this problem tomorrow, but I need you to listen to this part, okay? And I'll try to zoom in here so that it makes more sense. We've got two things going on here. We've got price and revenue. Okay, I'm going to try to speed this up. Price and revenue. Okay, so if I'm in business, this happens. If I decide to charge a smaller amount of money, guess what people do? They say, oh, that is so cheap, I am not going to buy that. It's not high quality. You know, you pay for what you get. Okay, now, you got to listen. If you charge too much, guess what happens? They say they won't buy it. There is a magic price in the middle that people will pay more money for. And we will talk about that tomorrow, and I need a calculator from you.